is Gil Gerard. You may remember me as Buck Rogers. Now I'm also one of the 60 million people in this country who are morbidly obese. And like a growing number of Americans, I feel I'm down to my last option for losing weight. Gastric bypass surgery. It could save my life, if I can survive the operation. If I go through with it and all goes well, I might just be able to get my life back. As for my present situation, all I know is I need to take action soon, before it's too late. It's a beautiful autumn day in London. Buckingham Palace is bathed in sunshine and life carries on as usual. Just north of the city, however, it's a whole different universe. At the Center MK in Milton Keynes, thousands have gathered at Collectormania, one of Europe's largest science fiction events. I'm Gil Gerard, and I've been asked to make an appearance here because I played Buck Rogers.
20th century weapons, where'd they come from? From an arsenal. Discovered near the ruins of the country's ancient capital, Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C.
You mean to tell me that those old weapons could possibly be a threat to Earth?
Those are nerve gas canisters, Wilma. Yeah, I'd call that a threat. Oh, boy.
That nerve gas isn't just a threat.
These days, I bear little resemblance to that guy in the white suit. In medical terms, at 350 pounds, I'm morbidly obese. My weight has drastically changed my appearance, hurt my acting career, and made me physically uncomfortable. Worse than that, it's now beginning to claim my health. It's imperative that I lose at least 130 pounds, but nothing seems to work, and I'm quickly running out of options. Which is why, unbeknownst to anyone here, including my former Buck Rogers castmates, I'm considering having gastric bypass surgery. What I've learned so far from my research is that surgery doesn't offer a simple solution to my problem. To begin with, the patient must address their psychological reasons for overeating before having an operation, or there's a good chance it won't work. Of those who do have surgery, up to 40% of bariatric patients develop complications within 6 months. Almost half of them will end up back in the hospital. Even worse, one recent study reported that among some groups of patients, as many as 5%, 1 in 20 people, die within a year of their operation. Even considering these negatives, I'm still interested. In my research, I've come across a procedure called mini gastric bypass surgery, or MGB, which seems to have a solid track record. I want to know as much as I can before I make my decision. So at the end of the day, back at the hotel, I head over to meet with this woman. Joan Edwards, a former MGB patient, has come to talk with me about the procedure.
The reason I started looking into gastric bypass surgery was that a friend of mine had an operation, and he's like, it's the best thing in the world. I've lost 130 pounds. It's amazing.
The whole pressure, it's 100% removed. 100% removed, because you know you're not going to put the weight on again.
His response was, I wish I had done it years ago. I began to really take a look at my history of weight loss and the fact that I had literally been fighting it for about 40 years. I had had weight losses of 175 pounds, 100 pounds, 70 pounds. If I had been successful, I would have lost one batch of weight, and we wouldn't be talking about doing this operation.
I asked Joan what led her to have the surgery.
I was at that stage 255 pounds, and my joints were all hurting. I was out of breath. I was the biggest I'd ever been. And I've yo-yo dieted my whole life. You know, I've lost 14 pounds, put on 18, lost 18, put on 24, and it's never stopped. I've just continuously got fatter and fatter and fatter. And we were due to go on this superb holiday, so I spent a fortune buying really nice clothes. Every day I put these clothes on, and I could have just wept buckets. I just looked atrocious. You know, I was just in the depths of the despair that I've ever been, I think, about my weight ever. And so I was just watching television, as you do, and I caught 2 little snippets about stomach stapling. Didn't hear either one in full, and I just sat down, I looked on the internet, I thought, right, I typed in stomach stapling, and one of the sites that came up, in fact the first site that came up was the MGB site. And I looked into it and I read it, and I thought, that looks interesting.
When did you have the upset?
April the 14th last year.
Of last year?
I actually react now as a normal person to food. It is just incredibly life-changing. And for the rest of my life now, I should be slim. And that's it. And it's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Let's go get it done.
After our meeting, as Joan heads for home, I reflect on our conversation.
I guess being back in England has brought to mind with a lot more clarity, really, where I have come as far as weight and how it's affected my life. Because I remember one of my favorite things was walking through Hyde Park or Kensington Gardens and places like that. And I can't do that anymore because it's so uncomfortable walking. My hips start to hurt, my knees hurt. I like to walk a golf course. I can't walk a golf course now. I have to ride. And I used to play a lot of tennis. I was a very good tennis player, very quick and all that kind of stuff, and I can't even play it anymore.
I used to do a lot of skiing, and I loved to scuba dive.
Of course, I can't do that because of the health problems the obesity brings about. It has affected my career. It has affected my life. I isolate when instead of going out because I'm not comfortable. I don't have clothes that I feel comfortable in. I don't like wearing fat man clothes, but I'm a fat man. I don't want to spend the rest of my life feeling like this. I don't want to spend the rest of my life having to carry that belt extension for the airline seats. I don't want to spend the rest of my life jammed into an airline seat as opposed to being able to sit comfortably in one. I do these signings, and I've actually had people walk up when I'm at the table and say, "When's Gil getting here?" And they're shocked that it's me because I don't look like I did 25 years ago. And I totally understand that. Many times I try to laugh it off, it's like, what'd you look like 25 years ago? I've changed, it's been 25 years. But I realize that, my feeling, and when talking to Joan, for instance, we're talking about the constant sense of failure. It's like every time something like that happens, it just underlines, I'm a failure at this, I'm a failure at losing weight. I always thought if you had to resort to surgery, then you're really a failure. What I was really doing was resisting change. It was a new idea, and it was like, no, we can't do that. Well, we can.
There's a lot to consider and more to learn before I go ahead with it, but
this is my last best hope. That's what I feel. To see someone who was so burdened with her weight and saddened by it, is so full of life and energy. That's what I'm hoping for with the surgery.
if I do this,
I think primarily what I'm looking forward to is peace of mind. Of being able to say, the struggle is over.
New Puffs Plus is better than before. A tissue safe.